There's something in the air down in Miami. It's not just a breeze from Biscayne Bay or the shuffle of off-season drills. It's heavier. It's the kind of tension that lingers in front offices and locker rooms when a star player might be packing up. Jalen Ramsey. You hear the name, and for a second, it feels like everything's fine. But then comes that itch. What if he's gone? Chris Greer didn't say it outright, but let's not kid ourselves. When the general manager speaks in hints, and those hints line up with trade rumors, the writing isn't just on the wall, it's carved into it. Trading Ramsey isn't a minor shuffle. It's a tectonic shift. You don't just remove an all-pro corner and pretend the machine keeps humming without a stutter. You don't get to say next man up and believe it when you're looking at names like Storm Duck, Cam Smith, and a rookie who hasn't even played a snap in the league. Maybe it starts with denial. Maybe you tell yourself this team still has the offense, still has Tua, still has Hill and Waddle. So what's the problem? The problem is that defense matters. The problem is that Ramsey doesn't grow on trees, and if he's out the door, somebody has to step into a pair of cleats that are heavy with expectations. Someone like Stephon Gilmore. So now Gilmore's name comes floating in like a life raft. Not a glamorous one. Not the kind that gets fans running to the merch store, but a lifeline nonetheless. And who's pushing the idea? Brian Baldinger, NFL lifer, a guy who doesn't exactly deal in fairy tales. He said it plain and simple. Gilmore makes sense in South Beach. Not because he's the future, but because he might be the only viable present. Let's not gloss over the facts. Gilmore is 34, creeping up on 35. That matters, but it doesn't erase what he is. A former Defensive Player of the Year, a 5-time Pro Bowler, and someone who's picked off 32 passes in his career. You don't just ignore that. Especially not when your depth chart has more question marks than answers. Especially not when your supposed backups aren't just untested. They're unproven in every sense of the word. But why is this even a conversation? Why are we here talking about Gilmore and Ramsey and panic mode secondary shuffles? Because something in the Dolphins front office shifted. Maybe it's cap space. Maybe it's age. Maybe it's a belief that Ramsey won't be what he was. But it leads to a cornerback room teetering on the edge of irrelevance if the wrong move is made. And this isn't a rebuilding year. That's what makes this whole thing stick in your throat. You don't extend Tua, load up on offense, talk about being contenders, then start subtracting from your defense like it's some kind of sacrifice to the salary cap gods. If you're going all in, then you go all in. That means making sure Ramsey stays. Or if he doesn't, that the replacement isn't just a body but a solution. Is Gilmore a solution? Depends on how you define it. He's not Ramsey. He won't shut down the field like a blinking "do not enter" sign. But he's competent. He's experienced. And maybe most importantly, he's available. That matters when you're staring at a season that won't wait for a rookie to figure it out in October. That matters when you can't afford to slip in an AFC East that's clawing for every inch of ground. Let's be honest, this is desperation, dressed up in logic. Gilmore isn't the dream. He's the backup plan you hope becomes something more. And that's where the anxiety creeps in. Because you're not just hoping he plays well. You're hoping he buys you time. Time for the defense to find its footing. Time for Vic Fangio's absence not to echo too loudly. Time for a team that believes it's close to a Super Bowl to not fall apart at the first gust of wind. What if Gilmore signs and plays like he did in Indy? Steady, disciplined, rarely flashy. Is that enough? Or are the Dolphins just rearranging deck chairs? That's the gamble. That's the uncertainty. And Ramsey, where does he go? Are the Rams really knocking? Is this some twisted reunion narrative where Miami eats part of the salary just to get him out the door? That kind of move isn't just bold, it's dangerous. It sends a message that stability is negotiable, that core pieces are expendable. And once you start pulling at threads like that, it doesn't take long for the whole thing to unravel. It's easy to focus on the money, that post-June 1 trade designation, the potential savings. But you can't balance a cap sheet against leadership, swagger, reputation. Ramsey brought more than just coverage. He brought confidence to that secondary. And if you pull him out and plug in Gilmore, do the others follow? Or do they start questioning who's next? You look at the names left if Ramsey leaves. Storm Duck. A cool name, sure. But cool doesn't stop Stephon Diggs. Cam Smith, promising? Maybe. But you don't bet playoff hopes on maybe. Jason Marshall Jr.? A fifth-rounder with instincts, but instincts alone don't cover routes in the NFL. They're not enough.